I'll give her credit. Lake telling this guy to go take a hike. I'm just troubled by the whole recording thing. So let me read to you his statement. This is the statement from the Arizona Republican Party chair that is no longer. He just resigned. And he writes, in light of the recent revelation that Kari Lake has released a selectively edited audio recording of our private conversation, I must clearly address this deceptive tactic. The recording from over 10 months ago is not only taken out of context, but also undermines the integrity of private discussions critical for party leadership. As chairman, my primary duty is to strengthen our party, which often involves challenging dialogues and strategic decisions. These conversations are meant to assess and enhance the viability of our candidates. He goes on and on to that front. But let me get to some more interesting stuff, because he talks about his relationship with Kari Lake. And he said, contrary to the notion of me being an enemy of Lake's, this conversation was recorded while I was actually employing Lake in my private company. Okay, so that's interesting. She was employed by him in his company on the side. This is like, 10 months ago. In fact, for over a year and a half, we had many conversations where I was looking out for her financial interests. The ethical breach in her recording of our conversation while Lake was my employee, he writes, raises serious legal and moral concerns. This act of recording was not just a betrayal of trust, but also a violation of the fiduciary responsibilities of an employee. Do I see a lawsuit coming? All right, contrary to accusations of bribery, my discussions were transparent and intended to offer perspective, not coercion. Our relationship was based on friendship, and the conversation that is now being scrutinized was an open, unguarded exchange between friends in the living room of her house. I genuinely believed I was offering a helpful perspective to someone I considered a friend. Lake, he writes, has a massive megaphone. We know that, and he said it's one that I cannot compete with. I'm just a financial and business guy that got recruited into this unpaid role, I guess as her advisor, that demands the amount of time of roughly 2 full-time jobs. Nights, weekends, holidays, and more are all on work days. So actually, I think he's referring there to his Republican Party chairman position. My motivation for accepting this position was that I wanted to contribute positively, with the primary focus being the betterment of Arizona and our nation through the election of competent individuals. While there is much more I could express, I must refrain myself from defending myself, as it could potentially undermine this objective. And he goes on. And he really questions her integrity, her character, and he's clearly devastated, it sounds like, as a friend, because this, as he points out, was a conversation that was supposed to have been had in confidence. So why did she release it now? That's a question worth asking. I think he's kind of asking this question too. She wants to run for Senate. Her name has been floated as VP. And while some people might say, hey, this is great, she's sticking it to the man, so to speak, I actually think when you hear this other side of it, and you do listen to the tape, he's kind of like, okay, this is the message I'm conveying from back east. It's actually not him. He's not the problem, as much as the system itself, right? The system itself is effectively the problem, because that's where the corruption comes in. You have too much big interest, and we need more people that are their own people,